But there's going to be a lot of 10-day contracts that they were just saying too. I saw on Twitter is that's what's going to be going out for this roster is they're just going to start plug and play and veterans or young guys on 10-day contracts and see how it goes.
Yeah, a lot of testing. I can imagine. I mean,
who would you think you'd see though? Like, who do you think they're going to?
That's tough. It's tough. Yeah. Obviously, Goran Dragic is probably to get bought out, but he's going to go to Miami or Dallas. Looking around the league, I don't know how many guys are going to get bought out and signed elsewhere. I mean, you could look at Kent Bazemore in LA, but I mean, if he's not working for the Lakers,
Gary Harris is a guy that's getting talked about who's having a bad shooting year, but he's a good shooter. To your point, that's kind of league wide. They changed the ball, right? A lot of people are blaming on the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you would want to come to the Celtics. That's kind of your buyout predicament when it comes to the Celtics. There's always guys out there, and they're always linked to them, but not a lot of them come.
If you're not a contender, they don't want to come usually.
Yeah, it's tough, and I mean, it's hard to call this Celtics team a contender with how poorly they started the year. But if you just look at the last month and a half, they look like one of the best teams in the league, especially on defense. So I feel like that could be a draw for some guys, especially some of these younger players who might not have had the greatest luck in their first spot. You look at Torrey Craig a couple years ago; he was a perfect example. I mean, Lou Dort signed a two-way. I'm not saying the Celtics are going to find Lou Dort, but there's plenty of young guys hungry, looking to make an impact. I don't expect anybody they sign with one of these end of the bench deals to overstep Aaron Nesmith or Peyton Pritchard in the rotation. And if they do, then that's great because
it means they found something, right? And I do think that they are still lacking in shooters. I mean,
100%.
They don't have any. Like, let's be honest. Outside, well, I mean, I guess you got to call Grant Williams a shooter now because
I'm the biggest Grant fan. I'll tell you that. I'm the biggest Grant Williams fan you'll ever find. So
I liked Grant Williams as a rookie. I hated him last year, and now he's back.
Totally
in my
valid.
Graces.
That's totally.
To be fair, I hated everyone last year, but I think that was warranted.
Also fair. Yeah.
Do you, in that same vein, Jack? Do you think the Celtics left some stuff on the table? So we saw a lot of guys move. We saw Portland, that Powell and Covington deal. We're talking about the who'd they get? They got Bledsoe, the corpse of Justice Winslow, and
Keon Johnson. Well.
So you could have matched that with some stuff on your roster and maybe thrown in a pick, and that gives you a scorer in Powell and one of the best 3-and-D guys in the league. Is there a reason they didn't go after that? Is the contracts? How important was it to get into the tax, which I believe they did by like $400,000 or something?
Yeah, so they got under the tax. I think it's actually by like $2.5 million when it all shakes out to it, because they gave up half their roster, right? Realistically speaking, they gave up like a third of their roster. And if they made that trade for Powell, I don't think they would have gotten under the tax, especially if Covington was in it, because those are two huge contracts, and unless Portland's willing to take on Horford, which I don't necessarily think the Celtics wanted to give him up right away.
I don't either, by the way. Sorry to cut you off, but I think Horford has been important in his role.
Oh yeah.
In both stints, his role as an offensive facilitator and defense, specifically against Embiid specifically, and Giannis to a greater. When they didn't have Horford, I mean,
it was a mess.
Embiid just runs over him. Giannis just runs over him. He's an important guy for playing those type of players, and that's why I think Daniel Theis is going to be important. He's going to be able to spell Horford and do a lot of what he can do on the offensive side of the ball and defensive to an extent.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. Like, everyone's seeing Horford. He's lost a little bit of a step since his first stint in Boston. He's been great, like in his role, like you said. And I think that's a big part of the reason he didn't get traded, that, and probably no one wants to take on his contract, but he's been great in his role. And now that you have Daniel Theis, you don't have to play Al Horford 30 minutes a game. You have another guy who can get down there, bang down low, and allow Robert Williams to play kind of off the ball and not on the center. And that way he can, half the reason he gets some of these blocks is because he's guarding the corner, and then he comes over and he just swats them. Right. And so if you have Daniel Theis, you can stick him on a Joel Embiid, and you might not like that matchup, but when you have Robert Williams on the weak side to help, it looks a lot better. So as far as the Powell thing, I think it was just getting under the tax, and the fact that they, I would say, improved their starting 8 on the roster and also got under the tax. That's a huge win, especially when you consider both Theis and Derrick White are under contract through the 24-25 season. That gives them so much long-term flexibility. And I think that's the very underrated part of what Brad Stevens did at the deadline this year.
Why is the tax so important? I mean, I know that the Celtics and Wick will get something like $6 to $10 million back and whatever. Why is that important? They haven't paid tax in years. I told Ray this before. I saw a stat on Twitter. The last time they paid the tax, the team was worth like 2.6 billion. Now they're worth 3.7 billion. They're not hurting for cash. What is so important about the tax? I know there's some ramifications, salary cap wise that just make me sick to my stomach. But do you understand is it just money from the ownership side, or?
I'll pretend with the best of them, but at its core, I'm probably as clueless as the rest of everybody. I just know that if you pay the luxury tax 3 years in a row, I'm sure you guys have heard this. If you pay 3 years in a row, then you get into the repeater tax, which means it's a ton of money. And if they don't feel like the Celtics are gonna win a championship this year, which I mean, realistically speaking, with how compact the East is, there's a chance. You never know what happens, but there are better teams in the East, and we can be honest, Celtics probably aren't going to win it all this year. Then what's the point of paying that tax this year? If you can feel like you have a chance to be in that upper echelon next year, you pay it and then you move forward. So I think the thing with the tax is just, if you don't think you're going to win a championship, it's just bad business not to pay the tax. But again, I'm as far from an expert on the tax as you can find.
My to combat that, my argument would be you may not be in the win a championship this year, but first of all, you never know. But you should also be thinking that maybe next year, with Tatum and Brown continuing to, excel, you should be in that conversation. So you're also in the NBA world of don't let your young superstars force their way out of town. So cheaping out at deadlines
it's not a good look.
Is not a great look, right? So give it up to Brad. I think the team is a better team today than it was yesterday. And he did it, like to your point, of getting under the tax as well. And they've shortened their bench, and they're gonna do what they're gonna do. But that precedent of not spending money just because you don't think that you can win a championship this year has to go away pretty soon, right?
I agree.
If you want to continue to show Tatum and Brown that you're investing in their future and their chances at championships.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree completely. That's totally valid. I mean, you look at Anthony Davis in New Orleans a couple of years ago. You look at James Harden twice in the past year, which is crazy. Just stuff like that. I mean, you want to make your superstars happy. And I think, like you said, props to Brad Stevens. He made the team better and also pleased Wick Grossbeck, which is huge. I mean, what Brad Stevens has done in his first year as GM is really impressive, right? And I see a lot of people on Twitter knocking Brad, saying it's a bad deadline, which I personally don't understand. Like, obviously he didn't elevate them to contender status, which maybe a lot of Celtics fan wanted with how well they've been playing, but getting Derrick White and Daniel Theis in exchange for realistically Josh Richardson, Dennis Schroeder, Ennis Freedom, and Bruno Fernando, who, by the way, are all four pieces they got this past offseason, right? It's not like they're
all of which you probably would not be on the team next year regardless.
Exactly. It's huge. And maybe you have Richardson for one more year and then you deal him again. But the fact that he's extended into next year makes his value better. And with the way he's been playing, you never know if his shooting will go down. So you trade him while he's hot, I guess.
Yeah, I think Derrick White is going to surprise a lot of Celtics fans who are kind of naysayers now. He is a perfect fit for Boston. He's exactly what we like in our basketball players and our athletes. Like, he works really hard, tries hard, and is aggressive. So I think that.
Well, I may also had him in San Antonio, so he already knows what kind of player he's getting. So I may already knows what he's got. He did do Team USA basketball with the international team, so he's played with Marcus Smart, he's played with Jason Tatum, he's played with Jaylen Brown. So he already knows how to play with these guys. So I think it is going to be a bigger trade acquisition. Sorry,
well done.
I've been drinking. Thank you. And it's going to be one of those things where we look back at the end of the season and be like, wow, that was a steal of a trade.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. They still need shooting. So hopefully, there's someone there, or Neesmith steps up, or someone just starts making shots.
He was the best shooter in the draft when he got drafted.
That's why we call him Peach Baskets. We lose Ray?
I think so, maybe, yeah.
You got bored. All right, man. We appreciate you jumping on. This was fun. Would love to have you back.
Anytime. This was awesome. Thank you. For sure. Thanks for having me.
So one more time, just plug your stuff. Let us know where we can find your work.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm on Twitter at Jack Simone NBA. You can find me there. It has links in my bio to all the other publications I work for. Mainly Celtics blog. I write for them, At the Hive, which covers the Hornets if you're interested in that. Hoops Habit, Fansided's NBA site, CLNS. Maybe there's another one I lose track, but yeah, those are the main things. And I do a podcast myself, From the Rafters, about the Celtics. If you want to check that out too.
Nice, man. Yeah, we'd love to. We'd love to jump on and talk at any time.
For sure.
Ray, welcome back. We're leaving.
And I heard a boom, and then the fucking internet stopped working. I'm sorry.
I heard a boom.
I heard a boom.
Hey, that's a pretty valid excuse. A boom sounds important.
Ray, say goodbye.
Bye.
See you, Jack.
Bye, Jack.
Talk soon, man.
See you guys. See it.
You heard a boom?
I heard a boom, and I looked at my modem and it was fucking blinking. I'm like, uh-oh. Like, you guys are both frozen. I'm like, boom. I'm like, oh fuck, it's me. God damn it.
I heard a boom.
I heard a boom.
Okay. That was good. I like Jack.
Two great guests.
Yeah. Well,
I don't like to toot, but toot. I did good.
Good job. Well, also, I think that we can attribute a lot of that to no queen. Things just generally go smoother with no queen.
Well, when you see that intimidating figure on the other side of the screen, you're just like, oh, fuck, am I going to get shot?
Yeah, no,
That scares people. That scares me.
Definitely.
Although Blake did ask for, he's like, oh, no bill?
Yeah, no. Well, they're hockey guys. You know,
they had they Worcester thing and all that.
Yeah. Blake's not afraid of a little syphilis.
Yeah, because he knows. He knows.
He gets it. He saw Bill pinned him for a syphilis guy right off the bat. Like, all right, just keep my distance, but he's okay.
Yeah, I've seen this guy around campus before. No thank you.
Tried to sell me incense, and then I ran away, and he fired.
Yeah.
This has been the Simple Minds Sports Show, Friday Rewind, February 11th. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.